afternoon, everyone, on this snowy day in New Haven, Connecticut. I'm Barb Nangle. I'm the community manager of Known Coworking, and I want to welcome you to the Connection Corner. Very excited about today's episode. In a few minutes, I'm going to welcome Chantelle Garcia, who is going to talk about all kinds of financial tips for businesses. I personally can't wait to have this conversation with her about my own business. And before we get into that, I do want to tell you a little bit about Known. It's a dynamic co-working community to connect people across their fields of expertise, endeavors, and experiences. And though we started as a physical co-working space in downtown New Haven, and we're still there, and we're still the only co-working space in downtown New Haven, we moved our community to the virtual world once the quarantine started. As a reminder, Known Coworking has hourly, daily, and monthly plans for dedicated desks and office spaces. We are closed today because of the volume of snow. Normally, we're not closed for snowstorms, but because of the volume today and no parking downtown, we decided to close the doors. We also have conference rooms and Zoom rooms available for rent for as little as 1 hour. If you'd like to know more about the space, feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me at barb@knowncoworking.com. You can also check out our website, which is nhvknown.com, or you can follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Known Coworking, and you can DM us there. I mentioned that we moved our community online when the quarantine arrived, and as a result, we now have 3 virtual programs. There's Digital Media Sync, this one, the Connection Corner, and Pivot Talk. You can catch free replays of all the episodes of all of these shows on our website under Known Live and Events. Digital Media Sync is your window to the digital world. It airs on Tuesdays at 8:30, and it's hosted by Julia Gooch. She's the social media maven of Agents of Branding. Pivot Talk is a virtual stage for businesses to share and learn as they grow. And this show, The Connection Corner, is a place for dreamers, thinkers, artists, creators, educators, and community members to share who they are, what they do, who they serve, how and why. And we air it approximately weekly, and it's really shared at whatever time is convenient for the guest. If you or anyone you know might want to be on any one of these shows, feel free to reach out to me. Again, it's barb@knowncoworking.com. Our purpose in the physical and virtual world is to make connections between people. We're here to help you get connected, inspired, and known. And speaking of getting known, we've got virtual networking every Monday from 4 to 5 p.m. You can drop in for any portion of that time. If you're a business person, I recommend that you have a 1 to 2 minute pitch to share. You never know who's going to be there. And you can find us by going to the Known website, nhvknown.com, and clicking on Known Live and Events. And if you scroll down, you'll see a calendar there. There's an icon for virtual networking. You just click on that, and that will link you right to our our virtual networking room. And all that being said, it is now time to bring on our guest, Chantelle Garcia of Innovative Consulting Solutions. Welcome, Chantelle.
Hello, Barb. How are you?
I am wonderful. I've been waiting for this for weeks. So tell us whatever it is you want us to know about us. I know particularly I'm interested in how you started your own business and then financial tips for businesses, but take it away.
Sure, absolutely. So my name is Chantelle Garcia. I'm the owner and principal of Innovative Consulting and Solutions. I started my career as a bookkeeper and made my way up to staff accountant, senior accountant, financial controller, and then a CFO. Currently the CFO of Neighborhood Music School. I hold an MBA, which I obtained from University of New Haven. So I've been in business for about 13 years, working with small business owners, helping them with as little as their bookkeeping up to CFO, C-suite consultancy services, helping them with their budgeting, their financing, helping them with their workflow, their operations, helping them, again, bookkeep, various things. So it's certainly been a pleasure to work with various small businesses, but also just being that help and that support and that back office support, and also being a soundboard to help them work through different ideas and challenges that they're having with their businesses.
Wonderful. So what prompted you to start your business? Because it sounds like, you have the kind of career where you can move up and get promoted and have pretty much good job security. What prompted you to start your own business?
Sure. So this is actually my second business that I started. My first business I started when I was, I want to say 19 years old.
Good
It
for you.
was a clothing line, Devar Clothing Company. So I started off creating like screen printed T-shirts, and then I would manipulate them, and like there'll be shirts over the shoulders, whatnot, different things. And then I went into sewing, so I would sew my own pieces together, and they were featured in various fashion shows in Boston, here in Connecticut,
Nice.
New York. Yes. So I've done that for a couple of years. And then I stepped back because it was no longer fun for me to
Oh,
do that.
okay.
Still love fashion, but
Yeah.
it's different when you
Clearly.
go into a
Yeah.
business, right? It felt like work. Um,
Hmm.
and then in 2013, I was working for Unite here, Locals 34, 35, and 217. And I wanted to focus on finishing my MBA. So I resigned so I can go to school full time. But it's not in my nature to just sit still and just focus on the books, right? Or,
Yeah.
read in the books. So I was like, you know what? People are asking me about bookkeeping services and then accounting. I'm like, why not start a business, right? So I started it back in 2013, and I've been doing it ever since. So it's something I've done on the side while, working a 9 to 5. But as of after this year, starting January 1st, I'll be a full-time entrepreneur, which I'm very excited
Woo-hoo! That is
about.
really exciting.
Yes. So just really putting myself out there, networking, and just really meeting people who may be in need of my services.
Fantastic. And I'm just realizing I want to put up some stuff about how to contact you. So I do want to also say if there's anybody that has questions, you can go ahead and leave a comment. Even if you are watching the recording of this after the fact, leave a comment and we'll make sure that it gets to Chantel. But speaking of that, here's her email address if you want to email her right away. So tell me who's your ideal client? It sounds like you work with all different kinds of businesses, but who's your ideal client?
So two different ideal clients would be small business entrepreneurs, right?
Okay.
Ones that are just getting started. They need to set up their systems, their infrastructure.
Mhm.
They may have bookkeeping questions. How do I set up my books? Can you train me on bookkeeping? Those different types of things. Then on a larger scale, maybe medium-sized organizations, more on the nonprofit end.
Mm.
Most of my experience is with the nonprofit sector.
Okay. Good
So
to know.
with like grants, dealing with like restricted funds, um,
Mhm.
how to record pledges, those different types of things, how to budget for a nonprofit, which is a little bit different than for-profit.
Awesome.
So just
Okay.
really
I didn't know
covering.
that about you. That's good to know because I run into a lot of people in the world in the nonprofit world.
Mhm.
And I think finance is one of the things they struggle most with. I mean, I think that's true of many small business people because it's a world they don't know, but you kind of have to
Right,
if you're going to have a successful business. But for nonprofits, yeah.
right.
Okay. Good
And
to
even though
know.
it's not for profit, it's still running as a business, right?
Right.
There are those unique
Right.
things that are unique to nonprofit sector, but you're still
Right.
a
Right.
business. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Good to know that. All right. So, how about if we launch into some tips for small business people?
Absolutely,
Or
absolutely.
maybe not even small business people. I don't know if they're small
People
business
in
or not.
general.
Yeah.
So some of the conversations I've had over the years kind of helped me prepare this list. We have individuals who have been in business for a while, um,
Mhm.
and they're serious about it, but they're like, what are the next steps? Well, the first step is to register your business, right?
Mhm.
The state of Connecticut, you can actually easily do it online now, which is great because I remember back in 2013, I had to drive up to Hartford and go to the Secretary of State to register my business. Now you can do it online for a
Mhm.
small fee. And yeah, and it's a bit more official, which is nice, right? It's like, yeah,
Mhm.
I have my business.
Mhm.
The second second thing is to open up a separate bank account, right? You want to keep your personal expenses separate from your business expenses. A lot of times business owners, they blend the two together. So they don't have an idea of like what's coming, what's going, what belongs to the business, what doesn't belong to the business. And it just really helps keep your books in order, which leads me to my next point, making sure you do some type of bookkeeping.
Mhm.
Bookkeeping is a way for you to record and manage and categorize your transactions, all of the monies you receive through revenue or through services,
Mhm.
products
Mhm.
that you sell, and then you have your expenses, the different types of expenses associated with you running your business. And so you can bookkeep various ways. If your business is small enough, you can use a spreadsheet, right? Just really keeping track of all the monies in and then what's going out. Or you can subscribe to software such as like QuickBooks, FreshBooks, there's Sage, there's other applications out there that small businesses can utilize for a very small price.
Mhm.
If you are not a numbers person and you just look at the numbers and they freak you out, you can hire a bookkeeper. So if you have QuickBooks, you can use their service QuickBooks Live, or you can find a bookkeeper to help you for a small price probably. And
Mhm.
then, and I would suggest doing that on a monthly basis. Some people, some business owners, they don't even look at their books until the end of the year, which is tough, right? Because then you have piles and piles of receipts, and then you're overwhelmed at that point. But if you are really serious about your business and you want to keep track of what's coming and what's going, but also your performance, it's very important to manage your books, right? And do your bookkeeping, which feeds your financial reports, which
Mhm.
leads me to my next point, my next tip. So reviewing your P&L, your profit and loss statement to ensure your business is profitable, right? And things are moving in the right direction. So you
Mhm.
want to be able to monitor your performance in a timely manner, right? I always encourage entrepreneurs and executives to be more proactive than reactive, right? You don't want to wait until your account is negative or you're losing money on a specific job, right? To realize like, oh, hey, that's
Mhm.
not working out, then you're reactive. But if you're monitoring, right? Uh,
Mhm.
monitoring your performance on whether it's an individual job or your business as a whole on a monthly basis and sometimes even weekly basis, depending on how big your business is,
Mhm.
um, you'll be able to respond in a timely manner.
Mhm.
Kind of reactive, but reactive is more of, I'm freaking out, and then respond
Right.
like taking information, adjusting, right? And then
Yeah.
executing a plan, right?
Right.
Um, and then you also want to file your taxes annually. So you may file your taxes on your own using like TurboTax or H&R Block, or you may hire an accountant to do it for you. You're able to then generate like a financial report from your QuickBooks or wherever, give it to them, and they can file your taxes. And
Mhm.
filing your taxes are important because if you are applying for a small business loan, if you're applying for a small business loan so you can get money to help fund different activities in your business, they want to see how profitable your business is. They want to know that you're able to actually pay this money back. So if I'm
Mhm.
giving you a loan for $10,000, I want to know and make sure that you can and pay it back.
Mhm.
A lot of people have this idea that, okay, well, I want to write off everything, right? Because I want to pay the smallest amount of taxes possible.
Mhm.
Yes, I think we all do. But if then you're going to apply for a loan or a credit line and the bank sees that your business is not profitable because you wrote off everything under the sun, then your chances of actually getting that funding is,
Mhm.
slim to none. Slim to
Mhm.
none.
Yeah.
Another point I want to make is creating a budget, right? Coming up with a plan. A plan so this way you know what exactly your goals are. It's a part of like goal setting for
Mhm.
um, for your year, for your business. Um,
Mhm.
the number of clients that you want to get this year or per month or per quarter. Um,
Mhm.
the different types of services. I want to offer X amount of services, this part of the year and sell this many products or
Mhm.
or have this much in sales. Uh,
Mhm.
and when you're tracking your performance, you're going to compare it against that budget or that plan to make sure you're on course. So
Mhm.
your budget is like your compass, making sure you're moving in the right direction and you're not, going off tangent. But
Yeah.
some tips that I would share. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So I have like a gajillion like questions and things to say. So hopefully I'm probably not going to remember them all. But the first one was you said register your business.
Yes.
So for those people who have no idea what that means, what are you talking about?
Sure. So registering your business with the Secretaries of State, letting them know that this is my business. It's its own entity, whether it's a corporation or LLC, right? I'm a sole proprietor. I'm using this business name to conduct business, right? I'm offering services. I'm selling products under this business name. And in return, I'm receiving monies for this revenue. Yes.
Okay. And so my understanding of the difference between a sole proprietorship and like an LLC or a corporation is that it's a legal entity that is separate from me.
That's correct.
Whereas if I'm a sole proprietor, like I am my business and there's no legal differentiation between them. So think the example I always hear is if you get sued, which I mean, I don't know why somebody would sue me, but if my business gets sued, it's my business and it's not me. But if I'm a sole proprietor and for some reason I'm going to get sued, I personally will get sued. Is that correct distinction?
To an extent. So they still look at LLCs as kind of like a sole proprietor, but LLC having that designation means limited liability company. So where it creates this barrier, right? So if someone sues your company, they can't come after your personal assets. So it's like this gate, right? And they're just coming straight after the company. So whatever assets that the company has, that's what they can potentially sue you for.
Gotcha. Okay. And then when you mentioned that, and you also mentioned the opening the separate account, because not only do you want to keep this stuff separate so you really know what's going on, but I think, so I was just telling Chantelle right before the show, I've had my business, which is, by the way, it's called Higher Power Coaching and Consulting, and I work primarily with people in recovery, but really people that have dysfunctional patterns that they want to change. But anyway, I've had the business for like 2.5 years. And unlike literally everybody said to me, keep your finances separate. So I just opened up my own business account in November and I just became an LLC in October. And let me tell you, people, psychologically, what that has done for me is unbelievable. It's very clear to me that I'm very serious about my business in a way that it's not that I wasn't serious before, but it's like I told myself out loud and the world, I'm really serious. So there's the psychological benefit of the seriousness. And then there's also the psychological separation financially of my business account and my personal account. And it is such a thrill to look at all my business finances together and know there's no Barb in there. It's all business. And it makes me really proud in this incredible way. So I would say that not only are there concrete reasons for your business, but there's psychological reasons to do these things. And then the other thing, I want to hear about this notion of writing stuff off, because I think me included, until a couple years ago, I read some book. I didn't really understand what write off means. And the big news for me was when you write something off, it's not 100%, it's a percentage that you get to deduct from your taxes. It doesn't mean the thing is free. So can you talk a little bit about like what a write-off is, what constitutes a write-off, and maybe some of the mistakes you see some of your clients making when it comes to write-offs and the way that they think about them?
Sure. So I actually want to piggyback on the banking piece as far as creating a separate account, but also its relation to registering your business. In order to open up a business bank account, you will need to sorry, I see the question up. You will.
Yeah, I know. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted you to see it. Okay.
Sure. You will need to have a business register in order to obtain an EIN number, and you will use that EIN number to open up your business bank account. So that's another piece too.
Right.
But going back to writing things off, and I also like to disclose too that I am not a tax accountant. So I will dive in as deep as I can based on what I know. So as an LLC, you can write off certain expenses. Not all expenses can be written off. And really, it just speaks to the IRS code on what's allowable and what's not allowable. So writing off meaning you can take your expenses to offset your revenue or your income to decrease your income that you will be taxed on.
Okay.
So let's say, for instance, I provided $10,000 worth of services. The expenses associated with me running my business and offering those services or providing those services, let's say was $8,000.
Hmm.
If the $8,000 of expenses are all allowable per the IRS code, I can deduct that from my $10,000, meaning my net income is $2,000. So then on the $2,000, I will be taxed on that amount only. So not on the 10, you will be taxed on the $2,000 because you shouldn't be taxed on money on the full amount of your revenue if you have business expenses associated with that revenue, right? So once
Right.
you offset the revenue with those expenses, the difference, your income, is what you'll be taxed on.
Okay, so let's go to Steve's question here.
Correct.
He says, so definitely, even if you are LLC, you must have insurance, correct?
If you're referring to owner's insurance or business insurance, they always recommend that you do. You'll be surprised the type of insurance policies that you could sign up for or obtain. I actually looked at one recently, and like the smallest things you would never think about, like, oh, I can actually get insurance for that.
Mhm.
It's always helpful to have insurance. So this way, yes, your LLC protects you from someone coming after your personal assets, but also having insurance allows you to submit a claim, right? And
Mhm.
have the insurance cover whatever that claimant is trying to go after you for. Yeah.
So, but he's saying must have, and it doesn't sound like you're saying that you must have. It's an option, and you're saying it's a good option that to take, but it's not legally required that you have some kind of business insurance.
It would depend on the type of business that you're in.
Okay, true. That's true. Yeah, if you're doing something, so hopefully that answers your question, Steve. If not, just go ahead and leave us another one. And then we have another question from Kevnisha, who, by the way, I haven't mentioned this yet.
Okay.
Kevnisha and Chantel are going to be instructors for the Knownpreneurs Growth Academy.
Yes.
This is a BIPOC-focused business support training and mentorship program that we'll be launching in January. And just this week, we have chosen the people who are selected to be the small businesses in this program. This is our first cohort for Knownpreneurs. We will be doing it again. So keep your ears out. But I want to just give a shout out to both Kevnisha and Chantel as instructors for this program. So she said, I thought write-offs were 100% deductible. Thanks for bringing this up. I need the clarification. So do you want to say something about that?
Sure, absolutely. So not all deductions are 100% deductible. You should refer to the IRS code or work with a tax accountant, and they can tell you. Especially since the tax code changed in 2017, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of things that you were able to write off as an LLC, you are no longer able to do. So a lot of
Okay.
people are really flocking over to like an S corporation.
Mm-hmm.
So again, if you will connect, you should connect with a tax accountant and they can tell you what's the best designation for your business and what's the most advantageous thing to do.
Okay, and so you've mentioned bookkeeper and accountant. And so can you kind of talk about what's the difference between those? Because like you specifically said, well, I'm not a tax accountant. So what are the bounds of the role of a bookkeeper? What are
Mhm.
the bounds of the role of an accountant? Is there overlap? And like why do you need to say
Mhm.
I'm not, I mean, I've heard so many finance people say, I'm not an accountant, but, so it's
Right,
clear there's a reason that they all say that. So can you
right.
talk about that?
So you're welcome. So there's bookkeeper, there's accountant, and then there's tax accountant, right?
Oh,
I have to make accountant.
I didn't know that. Okay.
So I'm an accountant, right? But I'm more of a managerial accountant. I do more of the internal work. So I manage the books. I am in charge of like the budgeting, the financial reporting, the forecasting, all of those different things, job costing. It's internal work, right? Tax accountant, they do more of the external work. They are the ones who prepare your filings for to file with the government. on a state level, they're the ones to help you with your tax planning, making sure you're paying your taxes on time, those different types of things. So you have a CPA slash tax accountant, and then you have an accountant. A bookkeeper is just, it's like an accountant, but it's a lower level field or a lower level role in an organization. So if you, let's say you're an accountant or you're working your way up to be an accountant, normally your first job would be a bookkeeper, and then you would move your way up to like a staff
Mhm.
accountant, senior accountant, controller, and then a CFO.
Right. Yeah. So when you just said that, it reminded me, we had a show a few months, I don't remember, sometime in the summer where we had a woman that I know actually, she had her own, or still has her own business for like 40 something years. And like 25 years ago,
Mhm.
she found out that her bookkeeper was embezzling from her. And it was really helpful to have her on to talk about like what are the signs to look out for that. And what was funny was all these things that like once she knew the woman was embezzling from her, she looked back and went, "Oh, okay, that all makes sense now." So for example, she said, "I had this really busy and successful business and I was broke and I had to take a loan out, and I was driving an old used car, and this woman had a brand new car and her son had a brand new car, and the people that own the shop that sells hot tubs said, 'Hey, did you know she came in and paid cash for her hot tub?'" And it's like none of this stuff registered to my friend. And so when her bookkeeper went out of town, she took her books to someone else to
Mhm.
say, "Why am I losing money?" And the person was like, "Somebody's embezzling from you." And
Yes.
so I was like when I heard this story, I was like, "You have to come on the show and tell people," because this woman, Margaret is her name, she went around and talked to like business schools and stuff, to just let people know, because it devastated her personally, psychically, it devastated her business. It took her years to overcome it. So I just like I want to tell people like we have that on the Known website under Connection Corner if they want to watch it. But I wonder like if you ever run into anything like this, and if you have any thoughts you want to share about like why it's important to look at your books, because if you don't know what's going on, somebody could be walking away with some of your money.
Exactly. Personally or professionally, I've never experienced that, or this is the first time I've heard it. But at the same time, at the same time, I always recommend business owners to, yes, at least familiarize themselves with like certain terminology, right?
Mhm.
Some of the reports, how to pull a report. So if you're using a tool like QuickBooks to really manage your finances, go in and click around, right? Sit
Mhm.
down with your bookkeeper. Show me
Mhm.
what the activity is. Show me the ledger, that lists out all the transactions. What is this? What is that? Show me, look at your bank account. A
Mhm.
lot of entrepreneurs, they're either too busy to even stop to breathe and to look at these things, or they're just intimidated by it, right? And they
Mhm.
don't want to be bothered, and they're just like, do this for me. Really
Mhm.
check in to see what is happening. It's kind of like, owning a car, right? At least
Yeah.
in the basics, because if you bring it to
Yeah.
a mechanic, they're going to rip you off and tell you need this, need that. But if you know the basics, you can then question them, right? Like, actually,
Right.
no, I thought X, Y, and Z. And they're like, oh, okay. And they kind of just back off, and then they're honest, hopefully, from that point on.
Yeah.
But just taking like a small bookkeeping course or reading like a book like Bookkeeping for Dummies really a lot, it helps you. And so you're acclimated with like certain terminology and you understand,
Right.
right? What certain things mean. So yeah,
Yeah.
great
Agreed.
like that from that book.
So I mentioned to you that I'm taking this course that's called Entrepreneurial Bookkeeping. So I am a coach and a consultant, and I have been listening to this woman, Brooke Castillo of the Life Code School, and her podcast for like over 2 years now. And she is amazing and brilliant. And she and her CFO created this course. And one of the things that she said that I heard today, and I heard her say it before, but I really appreciated it. She said, I started out as a weight loss coach.
Mm.
And so it's for me, it's easy to relate things to weight a lot. And she said what happens for a lot of the coaches that come through her life coach school is they're so averse to numbers that they won't look at them. And she says, here's the thing. If you think about your weight, when you weigh yourself, it is a piece of information. It doesn't mean anything unless you decide it means something, But if you weigh yourself every day, it will take away the sting of the thoughts you have about your weight. And she said it's the same thing with looking at your books. If you're averse to numbers, if you look at them on a regular basis, you will become less and less anxious about them. They'll become more and more familiar to you, and it'll take away the meaning for you. And so one of the things her CFO said that I really appreciated was they were given this scenario, like, let's say you set a goal that you were going to make 50,000 and you only made 20,000. She says it's not like the CFO is interested in the math, which is there's a $30,000 difference. Whereas a lot of people are interested in the drama, which is, oh my God, I didn't make my goal. I'm a horrible person. I'm not going to be able to make it in business. And the CFO said, it's not that I don't have thoughts about it. It's that I don't have negative thoughts about it. Here's the thing. Okay, we have a $30,000 gap between the goal that you set yourself and what you actually achieved. So the question for me is, it's not, are you successful? Because the fact that you launched a business tells me that you're already successful. It's, what are the adjustments that we need to make to get you to the goal? Does it mean we have to come back on the goal? More likely, it means we need to create more revenue. And so, how do we do that? And I like all this, the thinking. I think because she's a coach and I'm a coach too, and I realize that mostly it's our thinking that gets us into trouble, that having these mind shifts are so helpful. So, I appreciated, what you said. I don't know if you have any thoughts about any of that.
No, absolutely. You're definitely right about that. Just feeling more comfortable with what you're doing, right? If we want to talk about weight loss, it's kind of like getting on a treadmill. You get up there, it's intimidating. The first step is actually getting on it, right? And you do the 5 minutes and then you do the 10 minutes. And then after a while, it's just easy, right? You're kind of gliding along versus like huffing and puffing. Your body remembers, right? You're exercising this part of your body. Well, you're exercising this part of your brain too, and sharpening those skills and those tools. And who knows? Soon enough, you'll be able to pull reports and scrutinize it yourself, right? And tell the CFO, "Hey, I noticed this thing."
Yes. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. One of my favorite quotes is, consistency in small things is no small thing. If you can be consistent about, like, if you every single week, I know our friend and colleague Letitia calls it Finance Fridays. I happen to do my stuff on Sundays because I don't plan a lot of things on Sunday afternoon, and I have no pressure, and I don't feel like I have to do it in a certain period of time. So I enjoy looking at my finances and reconciling my accounts on Sundays, and doing it every single week is really helpful to me. But that consistency in small things is no small thing. And I do want to pop up this question if you have any thoughts about this for Steve.
Sure. So, Steve, if you're referring to just an accountant, I'm a trustworthy accountant. Hi, Steve. If you're looking for a CPA, I do know one CPA. His name is Bill Kalinowski. I forget the name of the firm, but if you send me an email, I'm more than happy to share that information with you.
Okay, let me put your email address back up again. The other thing I would say is that word of mouth. You find someone, like I met Chantelle through the collaboration of minority women professionals, and I watched. We had that group had, what was the name of the event? Finance.
I should remember, right?
It was some kind of panel with Chantelle and 3 other women from the
business
group.
finance check-in.
And it was phenomenal. And I said to her, listen, you need to come on this program. But like, I'm in a networking group with her, and I know a bunch of people who know her. So like, I know that I want to work with Chantelle. And plus, I've heard her talk a couple of times, and I know that she knows her shit. She's not just making stuff up. And she's been in business for a while. Like, so those kinds of things. I mean, for me, personal referral is one of the best ways to find out, how to do business with anybody. But if you can't find a personal referral, I would ask the person, can you give me 3 references? Somebody that you used to work with, somebody that you currently work with, and I don't know, maybe 2 people you work with or something. But yeah.
Absolutely. Want to make sure they're credible for sure.
Right. Absolutely. So how important do you think various certifications are and education are when it comes to the world of finance?
It's interesting. I always have mixed feelings about it, to be quite honest. Like I have my MBA. I'm a candidate for the Certified Management Accountant certification. There are a lot of individuals that I know who have many certifications. Um,
Hmm.
but one thing I've learned, and someone has actually said this to me, you may have the certification, right? But you could have been the lowest at your class and just barely made it, right? Just means you know, right? You may be textbook smart, but can you apply
Yeah.
it, right, to all of
Right.
the different types
Right.
of businesses?
Right.
But and
Yeah.
that's where the professional experience is very important. Where, yeah, you may have someone with no certifications, but
Mhm.
they've done this work for years and they know it inside and out, right? So
Right.
I think certifications are great. But I think, like you said before, checking the references and really just talking to the individual and asking them the right questions to determine whether or not they know what they're talking about.
Right. Yeah. Agreed. There was something in there that you said that I wanted to comment on, and now I can't remember what it was. Oh, it was great too. I can't remember. Um, oh, geez, I know there was one more thing, and it felt really important. Oh, I know. I was going to say, like I've known a number of people who said, "Oh, I did my husband's books, or I did my sister's books, or I did my wife's books, or whatever." And I'm like, "Did you like have any training or anything like that?" And so that's one of the reasons why I was asking about certification. Oh, I know. The other thing was
Sure.
when I'm watching this entrepreneurial bookkeeping course, the CFO told me. I mean, he really told everybody that watches it that he has had just so many clients that come to him and tell him that they have worked with accountants who like shame them and belittle them and all that sort of thing. And his point was, listen, there's nothing shameful that you have done. And if you are not comfortable talking to and asking questions of your accountant, then find another one because there are plenty of people out there who are kind and good and decent. And so if you're working with a financial professional who's a jerk, hire somebody like Chantel. Clearly, she's not a jerk.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes. They should not shame you. They should take the
Right.
opportunity to show you and teach you, right? There's
Right.
and I'm big on that too. I'm not
Okay.
someone who just goes in and, all right, I'll do it, right? No, I
Yeah.
want to show you because I want you to understand too.
Yeah.
Being a business owner is to understand certain parts and facets of your business, not just hire someone to do this, this, and that. That
Hmm.
really allows you to have control over your business and to step in and ask questions
Right.
necessary, right? So I
Right.
look at it more of like a partnership type of
Hmm.
relationship versus I'm just coming in to check this box for you and I'll see you next month
Right.
with my bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. So my last question really has to do with, and this is really personal for me. Like, what I feel like I'm not ready, like financially, to bring you on board, but also because I feel like I need to know what's going on before I bring someone else on board. So, how do I know when I'm ready to hire you specifically?
Sure, sure. When managing your books on your own is too much, right?
Okay.
You've taken the bookkeeping 101, you're in QuickBooks or whatever tool that you're using, financial system, you're managing
Hmm.
on a Sunday. Um,
Hmm.
when there's so much activity, right, where you can't get to it on a Sunday and you're just bogged down, bring
Hmm.
someone in at that point. Um,
Yeah. Okay.
if something's not adding up or tying out, bring someone
Hmm.
in at that point, or even just to come in and review and tell you, hey, this is what's wrong. Fix this one thing and you'll be fine. Um, but if you're looking for someone to like generate reports for you, to provide feedback about what's happening, what are the numbers telling you? Numbers tell you a story, right? And to
Hmm.
provide that type of insight, hire a
Hmm.
bookkeeper or an accountant at that
Okay.
point. Um,
Okay.
and yeah, so don't get bogged down. If it's taking up a lot of your time and you have the means to do it, right? And you can afford it, hire a
Mhm.
bookkeeper. Hire a bookkeeper.
Okay. And then in terms of working with you, it sounds like there's a variety of like stages of work that people can build up to working with you. So I know like my accountant, I pay her a chunk of money at tax time. And then like I ask her not a ton of questions throughout the year, but I do email her and she answers them and stuff like that. But like, how does that, like, do you like have clients, they pay you monthly? Do they pay you a fee? Like, how does that work?
Sure. Sure. So there are various, there's two components, right? There's the bookkeeping and then there's the accounting CFO consultancy. So
Okay.
bookkeeping is more of a monthly subscription. So they pay a set amount, and it's contingent upon the volume of transactions,
Okay.
and the level of service that they need. So if they just
Mhm.
need a review or they need someone going in to punch in the information and to do everything for them.
Mhm.
On the other side, more of like the accounting CFO services, I call them C-suite consulting. It's
Okay.
more of partnering with the entrepreneur or the executive of a, nonprofit or whatever, and really helping them create like a budget, right? You have successful nonprofits out there or just small businesses who have never created budgets, right? And they have no way of planning where business is booming, it's going, right? But to scale their business, they need to
Mhm.
know what happens, what's happening,
Right.
and what's next. Um,
Right.
so just creating a budget, working with them on that, running different scenarios. If they want to know how much to pay a certain employee to bring them on, should we give out bonuses? What type of structure, right? How many people do I need in my accounting department or on my consulting team or on this team? Working
Mhm.
through the numbers, being a soundboard, right? Just working through all of those complicated, complex
Yeah.
scenarios and issues, that's more on the accounting CFO end of things.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
and it's more on an hourly basis. And so I work with them as needed.
Mhm.
Yeah, and just partner with them and help them work through their challenges. Yeah.
Really, personally, this has been an incredibly helpful episode for me. I hope it has been helpful for other people too. Are there any last things that you'd like to share before we sign off?
Absolutely. Just for small business owners, one, great work, right? It's not easy being an entrepreneur, small business owner, or even executive. It's a lonely position, but keep pressing forward. Don't be afraid of numbers. Check in on your business's performance, and when you need help, reach out. I'm here,
Mhm.
or to anyone at that, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chantel. This is fantastic. I'm going to take you off the screen for a minute, but if you could stick around for a minute, that would be great. And I just want to close out the show. So thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Chantel
Appreciate it.
Garcia. Innovative, actually, let me just plop up your stuff there one more time. Innovative Consulting Solutions. And this is her email address, so be sure to reach out to her.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to take her off the screen now and close out the show. Bye, Chantel. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for another episode of the Connection Corner. And even if you're watching the recording, if you have comments or questions, go ahead and plop them in, and we will make sure that they get to Chantel. Or you can, of course, email her yourself. And I want to thank you for joining us today. We don't have any more shows coming up for the rest of the year until January, so we'll see you back on this show next year. A reminder, every Tuesday at 8:30, Julia Gooch hosts Digital Media Sync, and she will be having a show the next 2 Tuesdays, even though it's the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's. And I thank you so much. Have the happiest of holidays and Happy New Year. Thank you so much. Bye now. Oh, wait, we got one more comment. Oh, Steve says, great show. I agree, Steve. It was a great show. Thank you so much for joining us. All right. Bye, everybody.